What's up? It's the Coaster Craze, and today I'm ranking all 8 roller coasters at Kennywood. This fantastic park near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, has a phenomenal, well-rounded collection of rides dating back to 1920 and through 2019. It's really awesome, and I'm gonna kick it right off right away with number 8, Little Phantom. It's the kiddie coaster. It's kind of cool because it's old-fashioned. It actually has like a manual brake, like one of those levers, so that's kind of cool. It has fun pops of airtime. It's not a bad kiddie coaster at all, but of course it's gonna come in last place. At number 7, I have Exterminator, which is a really cool, actually, Reverchon spinning indoor wild mouse that has some really solid theming. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of it, but it is a very fun ride with the weird Exterminator theming and stuff with like the rats and stuff and exterminating guns. It's really odd and out of nowhere, but it's fun in the dark and it's a cute little ride, but it's nothing special, of course. At number 6, the worst of the 3 one coasters, this is going to surprise some people, but I'm putting Thunderbolt, which is actually the largest. It has like a 90-foot drop at the end of the ride, so that's like, significant, and it is cool how it ends with the biggest drop. And I love the use of the terrain, dropping out of the station and then going up the lift hill into like a mini twister section with some crazy laterals. You need to sit actually next to someone because of how powerful the laterals are. And then some more drops into the ravine. But overall, I kind of found the layout a bit repetitive. I didn't really get any airtime. Maybe that's because where I was sitting. And I found it to be a bit too rough, even though that didn't take away too much from the ride. It was just alright, and I wasn't really super impressed, to be honest. Now at number 5, I have Racer, which was a coaster that really did impress me because it looked really tame, and it is pretty tame. Small drop, it's not much, it's kind of short because you only get to ride one side of the Mobius loop. But the racing factor makes it super fun because it's always racing. This isn't Twisted Classes, because they only give you one half of the ride that you do. So it makes it so you're always racing the other side. And it actually had some really fun little pops of airtime. And I thought it was much better paced than Thunderbolt. You keep a good speed throughout the ride, and it's just a really, really fun time. It's a solid one coaster that I highly recommend, and it's pretty smooth to boot, unlike Thunderbolt, which is really, really nice, especially considering it's from the 1920s, for after all. So, the best of the 3 one coasters at number 4 is Jackrabbit, and this is a really strange pick because most of the ride is just Thunderbolt but smaller and worse. It's the same thing dropping into the ravine to start out the ride, then going up a lift hill and doing some turns, and then dropping down, but without the twister section, right? So what makes this one so much better? Just one little element, and that's coming off the lift hill, a double down, and this is one of the craziest airtime moments I've ever experienced. The restraints allow for a ton of airtime, and you're just ejected, like sustained ejector airtime for like 5 seconds. Because of that double down, it is absolutely insane. The ride's pretty smooth too, which is very nice. It's actually celebrating 100 years this year, which is insane. I actually did an April Fool's video about this, which you can check out in the iCard up above. That was kind of fun to do. But otherwise, it is just kind of an okay ride, but that double down makes it just a really exciting ride, even if it's just a one-trick pony. So now we're in the top 3, the big 3 steel coasters at the park, and there's a big difference between these 3 and the other 5. These are 3 great coasters. I'm going to start that off with number 3, Skyrocket, which is a great Premier Rides launch coaster that's super weird and quirky, but in a great way. It has a powerful first launch, even though it's not super fast. You go up into this top hat, and you get insane ejector airtime, but then what's really weird is it kind of breaks at the top, so it's this kind of uncomfortable feeling before dropping because it doesn't want you to have too much speed during the ride, I guess. And that trim is very uncomfortable. I wasn't a big fan of it, but it doesn't take away from much of the else of the ride, so that's good. It goes in some weird bank turns that are really strange but fun. 2 inversions that, again, are also kind of weird but provide plenty of hang time, which is awesome. This S-curve section that makes no sense and doesn't really do much. And then some airtime hills that give actually some airtime, but it's like awkward airtime and how it's like spaced out, just like the top hat. So again, it's a very awkward coaster. It's not graceful per se, but it's very smooth still, and it's a really fun, rideable ride that you can't really find anywhere else. So definitely highly recommend it. And number 2, got Steel Current, which is the newest coaster at the park, in the biggest coaster. It is absolutely massive and a super fun ride. I did a full review on it, which you can check out in the iCard up above. And basically, to sum that up, it's got 2 great ejector airtime moments, like 9 great inversions, 8 depending on who counts, and really just a fun layout that's well paced, really long, and maybe it's not as intense as it could have been. And I wish maybe it did just a little bit more and left you with more of a great impression. Maybe that's partially because I had to wait 3.5 hours for this for the front row, which, oh my gosh, that was the longest I've ever waited. That was brutal, but I think front row is probably worth it. It is the best row on this ride from what I've heard. You really feel the speed at the bottom of the drops, even though I wish it did have a big drop. It's more of an inversion than a drop, but overall, it has a lot of great inversions, two great airtime hills, and especially want to take note of that 0G stall over the lake. That's phenomenal. So, of course, at number one, I've got Phantom's Revenge. This is the super acclaimed coaster at the park. It's one of my favorite coasters of all time. Again, I just did a review on this, which you can check in the iCard up above. But to sum that up, this is one powerhouse of a coaster. It's on the short side for a hyper, but it is so unique. And packing in two drops, the second one being larger than the first, and going under Thunderbolt. This is the best night ride I've ever had on a coaster because it goes out into the middle of like just the nowhere into the ravine, and you can't see a thing dropping down. It has a massive bank turn that's super fun, and it has some insane ejectors, some of the most insane airtime I've ever experienced on a coaster towards the end of the ride, and including this crazy double down that just mind-boggling how it can go over it. Overall, this is just a powerhouse of a coaster. Butter smooth somehow, so fast, it's massive. This is an amazing coaster and worth the trip to Kennywood alone. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below how you'd rank Kennywood's coasters. Stay tuned for more coaster videos coming soon to Coaster Craze. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.